Hi, boys and girls. Today we are going to talk about what is a narrative story. Can you say that word, narrative? Good. So we're going to talk about what a narrative story is because by the end of this task, you are going to be able to write your own narrative story. So first we need to figure out what are the parts of a narrative story. And we're going to use Super Sloth because we already read it. So a narrative story has characters and a setting. It also has a beginning, a middle, and an end, just like in Super Sloth. So let's look. Super Sloth started with a story in the beginning. Some things happened, right? We met some people. So in the beginning, we got to meet Super Sloth. We got to see that the setting was in a forest or jungle. And in the beginning, it gives readers an idea of what's happening or what's going to happen. So in the beginning, we saw that Super Sloth found that comic book and he wanted to become a superhero. So that's the beginning of the story. We don't know what's going to happen yet. They just set the story up for us. So as a writer, you would start your story the same way. You tell us who the characters are, the setting, and give the reader an idea of what is going to happen. Then a narrative story has a middle. In the middle, that's when all the events happen, the stuff happens there. So something happens. The character usually has some kind of a problem. If we go back and look, it says it wasn't long before Super Sloth ears picked up a distant cry for help. Help, help, someone's stealing my mangoes. Sloth rushed over, but was he fast enough? No, he was a super sloth, so he was slow. So now Toucan tells him that Anteater stole his mangoes. So that's the problem, right? Do we know how they're going to solve that problem yet? Nope. In the middle, some other things happen and we see what our character does to try to solve the problem. And then at the end, he solves the problem. He saves the day. So through the events in the story that happened in the middle, by the end, whatever problem the character had is somehow solved. So remember, even though he was super slow, he used that to his advantage because he was so slow, nobody noticed him. And so at the end, he was able to sneak in and get the mangoes back. And he saved the day. So the parts of a narrative, remember, it starts off with your characters and setting. And then as it continues, there's some kind of a problem. Actions happen to solve the problem. And by the end, the problem is solved. So that is how you would also write a narrative story. When we read a story, we get to know the characters and what's happening, what the problem is and how they solve it. Well, when you write your story, you're going to have a character and a setting, and then your superhero, because that's going to be the kind of character you create, is going to have some problem happen. You're going to have to tell your readers what they're going to do and how, by the end, they solve their problem. So those are the parts of a narrative story. And when you guys are reading this week, I want you to think about, is this the beginning, the middle, or the end? Is there a problem happening? Did it get solved somehow? Narrative stories are fun stories that are made up and they're for people to enjoy. So go ahead and enjoy a good book.